Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Namaskar and welcome to the Chaitanya studio of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. I, Dr. Pooja Singh, Assistant Professor at the Department of Public Administration, extends a warm welcome to all of you. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic called All India and Central Services, which is the fourth part of the unit titled as All India and Central Services. Friends, in this lecture, you're going to understand some basic features of central services and about the Indian Foreign Services. So, let's begin with. Friend, let's have a recap of what you have understood in the previous lecture. In the last session, we have understood the structure and purpose of all India services like the Indian Administrative Services. Friend, let's have a recap of the previous session. In the previous session, you have understood about the structure and purpose of the All India services like the IAS and IPS. But in today's lecture, I'll make you understand some other major pillar of our administrative framework, that is the Central Civil Services, and we'll go into detail especially about the Indian Foreign Service. So let's understand the objectives of today's lecture. So, let me first outline what we are going to learn today. Friends, by the end of this lecture, you'll be able to understand and make a differentiation between the All India services and Central Services, friends. You'll also understand how the Central Services officers are recruited and trained. Friend, in this lecture, you'll also come to know about how their service conditions and career paths are managed. Even, you'll be able to explore the structure and prestige of the Indian Foreign Service. Friend, so this will reflect on why these services are so essential to the central governance. So let's begin with. So the first question arrive in mind, like what are the Central Civil Services? Alright friends, so what exactly are the Central Services? Friends, these are services that functions entirely under the central government. Means they don't serve in the state government like the All India services. Friends, there are two categories. One is the established central services such as Indian Revenue Service, Indian Audit and Account Service, IAAS, and the Indian Economic Service, friend. And the second category is the General Central Services, which include various technical or non-technical posts under ministries and departments. Friends, so these are then classified into class 1, 2 and 3 and 4 depending on their rank and responsibilities. Okay friends, so let's understand the difference from the All India services. Friends, now let's compare central services with All India services. Although, friends, both are recruited by the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, but they serve very different functions. What are them? Friends, All India services officers like the IAS or the IPS serve both the center as well as the states. They are posted in fields such as district collector or the superintendent of police, SP. But in contrast to the central services officers, they work only under the central ministries, for example, finance, railways or external affairs. Friends, when it comes to the nature of their work differs. All India services are generalist roles. They can be shifted between various departments, but the central services are more specialized. Let's say, for example, an IAAS means Indian Audit and Account Services Officer is specially trained on the basis of government accounts. So, friend, and so you can understand that All India services officers are general in nature. They have the general duties in nature, but the central services focus on the specialized roles of the central services officers. So let's understand more about the recruitment of the central services. Friends, just like the IAS or the IPS, central service officers are also selected through the civil services examination conducted by the Union Public Service Commission UPSC. Friends, this exam has 3 stages. As you know, in the last lecture we have discussed in very detail about 3 stages: the preliminary, the mains and the interview. So the top rankers usually get IAS or IPS or IFS, the forest, and then comes into the IRS, IAAS and so on, friends. Let's say, for example, if someone gets an All India rank of 120, they might get the IRS, income tax service. So let's understand something more about it. Let's understand about the training and cadre management of the central services, friend. And officers start with a 5-month foundation course. 5-month foundation course at Labasna, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie. Many of you might be dreaming of going there. So once you go there, you have to have 5-month foundation course. So after that, friend, central service officers go to their specific training institute. After completing 5-month course, they go to the specific training institute, like the central services officer. Let's say, for example, an IRS officer go to NADT which is in Nagpur. An IAAS officer go to the Audit Academy in Shimla. Even their training includes classroom learning, field attachments and departmental exams, friends. So let's understand something more about the service management. Each service is managed by the concerned ministry. Let's say, for example, IRS is under the Ministry of Finance, or the Indian Postal Service is managed by the Ministry of Communications. Friends, DOPT manages rules and promotions, while the Ministry of Finance handles salary, pensions and allowances. So this is about their service management. So let's understand about the Indian Foreign Service. Indian Foreign Service was established in 1946. Officers represent India in embassies, consulates and global institutions. Friends, they are managed by the Ministry of External Affairs. They handle diplomacy, international relations, trade and culture. Friends, let's say, for example, Dr. S. Jaishankar, the India's present External Affairs Minister. So let's understand about the training and allowances of the Indian Foreign Service officers. Friends, Indian Foreign Service training is different from the IAS or IPS. So the training for the IFS officers lasts for almost 3 years, friend. 3 years. It includes district administration attachment, internship at the MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, foreign language training. Foreign allowances depend on location, duties and representational needs. So these are like their foreign allowances. Let's say, friend, if one ambassador or a consulate is posted in Japan, then their allowances vary from other country like China or from other places like the Xinjiang. So the local cost of living, additional abroad expenditure, whatever it is part of their training, friends. So I hope you have understood about the IFS training and allowances, what they are getting and how they are trained, their training period and where they go and like that. So with this we come to the conclusion, like the central services are essential to the functioning of the union government. Friends, you know that central services are essential to the functioning of the union government. Because why? Because they bring expertise in areas like the taxation, diplomacy, auditing and policy making. Friends, they are also recruited through the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, trained rigorously and serve with professionalism. Friends, so I hope you have understood about the Indian Foreign Service, central services, and with this we have came to an end to the this topic called All India and Central Services. And here you have with this lecture we have end up our block 2 as well. So we'll meet up in the next lecture. Till then, keep revising. Friend, I hope you have understood about the All India and Central Services. Friend, with this fourth part of this unit, I have came to an end to this unit titled as All India and Central Services. I hope you have understood in detail. So thank you for listening to this, and we'll meet up in the next lecture. Till then, keep revising. Jai Hind.
स्वाध्यायः परमं